What's up, guys? Happy 2024 and happy 3-year anniversary of the Cervantes podcast. I'm your host, Cervantes, and joining me today on the podcast is assistant swim coach at Iona University and video production intern at Media Squared, Mauro Pacsi. What's up, guys? Joining me today to discuss mental health, pivoting from a swimming career to the communications field, navigating adult friendships, and more is assistant swim coach at Iona University and video production intern at Media Squared, Mauro Pacsi. How are you doing today, bro?
I'm good, man. How you been?
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. You had an incredible swimming career from middle school to university level. Where did your love of swimming come from?
My love of swimming came from when I was 10 years old. I first started swimming out in the Bronx. My mom worked at Lehman College.
Nice.
Really attracted to the water, took a dive into the deep end, realized I couldn't swim. And then after that, started taking lessons, and I just, loved the feel of it, felt like a superhero. So that's what made me stick.
And did you, when you first started swimming, was it recreationally? Or was it with like your school, like elementary school?
So when I first started swimming, it was recreationally.
Okay.
I swam in Yonkers at YMA, which is Yonkers Montessori Academy, at the Mark Twain pool.
Okay.
They offered lessons with the local team there, and then eventually I progressed all the way up into the club level, which is basically like a travel team if you think about basketball or soccer.
Right.
And I did that all the way for 8 years.
Wow, okay. And there's Michael Phelps, Maritza Correa, Fred Evans, and the list goes on. Who were some swimmers that you looked up to or admired?
Definitely the first swimmer that comes to my mind is Nathan Adrian.
Okay.
Nathan Adrian is an Asian American swimmer. He swam for University of Cal. He is regarded as the best or the most consistent freestyler in American history.
Wow.
And he just has a really good outlook on the sport, a really good outlook on life, and he was a big guy, and I was like, I want to look like that one day.
Nice. Did you, what was I going to say? Did you like try to, I don't want to say mimic, but like his swimming techniques and like his career, were you like impressed by that and try to like follow that in a way, if that makes sense?
I think the one thing that I could emulate from Nathan, because an Olympian is otherworldly,
right.
was the idea of the mindset mentality. Not giving up on things, always working hard to improve. Another thing that he goes by that I really liked was putting pressure on yourself in certain situations to be prepared for when that situation arrives.
Right, like proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he would say, like, train the way you would expect to swim at the meet. So when you get to the meet, you know what to expect. You have your training to rely on.
Right. What you did in practice is ultimately what you'll do at the meet, like you said. So Mauro earned his bachelor's degree in English language and literature in 2022 and his master's in sports media and communication in 2023, both from Iona University. Did you always have a plan B, or was it a difficult transition for you from swimming to pursuing higher education in English and communications?
I wouldn't say that I always had a plan B. I knew that swimming for me wasn't going to be something to the level that, I would go to an Olympics or a national stage kind of thing, but I knew that I wanted it to help project me into college because I wanted to swim at the college level.
Right.
I guess the plan B for me was in higher education itself. Obviously, I've always been into sports, but I'm an English major, political science major, and I had a strong interest in law school for a long time.
Right.
And I had some aspirations of being a sports lawyer. I still do, but we're keeping it low for now. Take 2 LSATs, that happens.
Right. Law school's no joke.
But my plan B basically for that was I still wanted higher education. So getting my master's in sports communication media was something for me that allowed me to find comfort in my creativity that I have had for a while, but it's a little bit harder when you read so much, and I'm really into graphic design and video editing and things like that. So having that as a backup plan for me was really comforting. And I knew that no matter whether I continue with it or if I go back into law or if I blend the two, I'd still find a way into the sports world.
Because I think it's good that you have both. You have the swimming background that you can always rely on, because you can always be a coach. You could always be I don't know, if it ever gets tough, you could always be like a gym teacher or like run the athletics department in some type of like high school or college setting. So I think that's a good thing to fall back on. And I think also to English and communications, it's different, but it's similar. So it probably wasn't that tough of a transition, as opposed to like me with like going from like bio to TV production.
Yeah, it's hard.
That was kind of crazy.
It's pretty hard.
So your transition probably wasn't as bad, but I think you finessed it well. And I think it's cool that you still want the goal or like the dream of being a sports lawyer. Is that you think that's more further down the line? You want to see where you can go with the sports media first?
Yeah, I think that's further down the line. I think it's something that I put a lot of pressure on myself to do.
Okay.
And there was a point in time where it got a little bit unhealthy. It's not that I, don't love the idea of it, but for now and probably for a long time, when I feel ready for it, I'd like to do it.
You became a full-time assistant swim coach at Iona in August of last year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How has it been going from swimmer to coach?
So going from swimmer to coach has been a really fun experience. I swam at Iona for 4 years, from 2018 to 2022.
Right.
I did have a COVID eligibility year. I don't, if anyone's familiar with the term of like fifth years in college now, the graduate students.
Yes, I've heard. Okay.
I chose not to do that, and as I got my master's, I was a graduate assistant instead. So last year, that was like my first experience coaching at the collegiate level. I've coached on club teams and summer teams before, but it was really cool to be able to work with my coaches now as peers and coach my friends now as my athletes, and it made it a lot easier. But it's good. It's a good time. It's nice to be out of the water and not the one in there doing all the work.
Right.
Now I just kind of administer what
in
they
a
got to
leadership
do.
position. What would you say? How would you prepare someone for life after the sport, life after like the collegiate level or even the high school level, if that makes sense?
I think it would mainly be through lessons.
Okay.
Definitely, if you, of course, we'll take it to training first. If you train the way that you'd like to swim on the day of competition, like the most important day, then you need to practice that way. You need to apply yourself. It's the same, like if you really want a job, work makes work. So you got to do the necessary work to be able to get that job, and then know that I'm capable of doing this thing because I have that body work behind me. There's also, just being kind and believing in yourself. The way life goes is, yes, we can have support from people around us, and that's great, but ultimately it's up to you. And you've got to be that, man or woman that's got to give yourself a pat on the back and remind yourself who you are and say, I can do this. I've, fallen and gotten back up and over again, and I'm more than capable of doing what I set my mind to. So I think those two are probably important, like applying yourself and also just believing in yourself. I think those are the two things I like to hammer.
What was the most challenging part about being a coach, or so far?
Most challenging part about being a coach so far is it's a bit more personal than it is about running the team, I guess, in a way. Because I think it's been a pretty good transition, and that's a testament to my student athletes, just handling and being around me and the way that I operate in accordance with our head coach. It's been a good assimilation, I believe that's the word.
There's a good rapport there between you guys.
Yeah, good rapport. But I'd say one of the most difficult things is making sure that I'm doing enough or feel like I'm doing enough. It's never in terms of creativity, and sometimes it might be when I'm making practices or I'm thinking about training regiment plans, what we should be doing on XYZ day, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you know, what I could say, what I could do. And that's all just the coaching part, like, you know, just being on the deck and coaching, but there's also stuff behind the scenes that can get a little crazy at times, like, you know, recruiting, handling the team,
yeah.
social media, you know, keeping a good standing relationship with alumni and, you know, other supporters. It's all, that part of it is new to me, but,
Right.
you know, the coaching part, that's mainly just making sure I'm doing the right thing and making sure it's helping.
Has your the head coach, has he like helped out a lot? And do you guys do like one-on-one meetings before practice, or have you more so like done your own homework at home, like maybe YouTube videos or like books?
So our head coach at Iona is Nick Cavatero.
Okay.
He has been there for a very long time.
Okay.
I believe this might be the 43rd or the 44th year.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
There's another coach in Division I whose name is Eddie Reese. He's regarded as, you know, the best coach of all time in college.
Wow, I didn't
He'll
know
be
that.
retiring, and just based off numbers alone, Nick will be, you know, the highest tenured coach after that. By the end of the year. So it's nice to have a person like that who's been doing it for so long with that much experience in your corner. He's been very helpful, I believe, you know, in terms of, you know, showing me scheduling, showing me training plans, going through different ideas of what could work, what might not work. And it's the same thing for me. Like, we work together really well. We bounce off each other really well.
Right.
I think it's been a really good blend. And yeah, you know, even with that, I still do my own research and stuff at home. The swimming community is small and niche, but there are a lot of people who are willing to help and, you know, just find the ways for people to get faster. So it's really good to have him there and have, you know, the community when I go home and just kind of look and pan through that.
So Mauro started his internship at Media Squared, a production company in Purchase, New York, in June of last year. What projects have you gotten the chance to work on so far?
So Media Squared, just as a quick background, it's like it's in Purchase, Harrison area, as you said. I was brought onto it by one of my professors, Mr. Pasanti.
Oh, nice.
And what I've gotten to do there, a lot of the work was over the summer, early September. Unfortunately, since October, our seasons have been kind of busy, so I haven't been in. But I got to work a lot on Major League Baseball. They do stuff for the Yes Network,
Nice.
which is really cool. And they also work with the Brooklyn Nets. But, you know, I've been working on, you know, Yankees packages.
That's awesome.
You know, chopping up the highlights, putting them in order, media arrangement. I've been going out to stadium shoots, so I've been to Yankee Stadium for 2 shoots.
Nice.
And I've even gone up to like Poughkeepsie, I believe, for their single A team.
Wow, okay.
Which is really cool. And other than that, you know, I have done one edit. It didn't make the cut, but it's okay.
It's okay.
It was a good experience, and I had a lot of footage that, you know, you just can't find on the internet to play around with. So that was really, really good experience so far.
Do you feel like this experience, like your editing and like your content making skills and your graphic design experience, do you feel like it's improved a lot?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely improved a lot, and it's definitely improved not just by practicing, of course, but also feedback from my peers at Media Squared. They've been really helpful. We're a small group, but it's all been a really good learning process, and, you know, I hope I can get some time once the season is wrapped up and kind of get back to it and see what I can do.
Hopefully full time soon. That'd be nice. All the shoots that you've gone to, like the stadium shoots and all that stuff, what was that like? Like what was your favorite part? What was your favorite shoot?
I think my favorite shoot was when we were up in Yankee Stadium, and before this summer I knew about baseball, but I didn't really have any interest, even though I'm like from New York.
Okay.
I'm like Yankees, Mets, okay.
Yeah. Like
But
basic knowledge.
It was really cool to walk into the stadium and, you know, almost be kind of starstruck, especially when we were shooting on the field. But my favorite shoot has got to be when we were up in like one of those VIP section booth things
Nice.
that are overlooking, where
Yeah.
they got big cafeterias and the food bar and then a regular bar. But we did a shoot with the executive chef.
Nice.
And what he was doing was a segment for viewers where he kind of shows you how to make something at home, kind of thing.
Okay.
So what he did was all the ingredients were straight off Arthur Ave.
Okay,
So we were
nice.
going Italian.
Local Bronx
Yeah, it was
restaurants.
great. You know, I forget the bread, but shoot. We had like mozzarella, prosciutto.
Like teaching you how to make different types of sandwiches at home?
Yeah, so he just made one, and I don't remember it off the top of my head completely, but I can tell you I ate 4 pieces.
It was good.
And yeah, it was really good. And we had I was in the front, you know, doing the head-on camera. My peers were on the side, and then we had one in the back there, kind of getting the close-up shots of the food and the slicing.
That you didn't learn in school?
So the good thing is, being that my professor brought me onto like Media Squared, everything that we did in his live production, you know, live entertainment class wasn't that different at all when we got out into the field. He prepared us really well in terms of, you know, setting up the tripod, setting up the camera, getting the right lighting, getting the focus, white balance.
Right, audio.
You know, yeah, audio, making sure they're mic'd up, making sure you can hear the audio with headphones. Always bring headphones. That's like drilled into my head.
Right.
And then, you know, playing around with lighting a bit in different conditions. When we were doing the shoot with the chef, we were in a dark room inside, so we had our, you know, lights on the tripods, turn that on, get a little bit of brightness. When we go outside, there's like, I don't know the name, but you know, that little reflective thing that kind of brings the sun back a little bit.
Yes.
Or even the shutter you put on the camera to help with that.
The difference between in-person interviews versus outside, like being in a controlled environment where it's like much easier versus maybe if you had to, like the day you get to interview maybe a player and it's like on the field, then you got to deal with like wind and like,
Yeah.
it's a different, the lighting's going to be different. So have you gotten the chance to interview any players or like do a shoot out in the stadium? Like, I don't know the word right now, but
No,
like.
it's okay. I have done a
On the
shoot.
field?
Yeah, I've done a shoot on the field in Yankee Stadium. It was for the Yes Network. You know, I was just kind of behind a camera. We were doing a segment for Nancy. She is like, you know, the lady you'll normally see with the Yes Network at night, or actually, as opposed to see, you'll most definitely hear her voice most of the time.
Okay. One of the anchors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a really cool experience as far as, you know, terms of interviewing a player. I haven't done that, but I've been around my peers while they do that. I've also been on the camera for that, and that was, you know, up in Poughkeepsie with the minor league team. They had a
Okay.
really good top prospect there, and we
That's
just
really cool.
chopped it up with him for like 15 minutes. It was really nice, and it was honestly a really more valuable experience, I guess, at that, you know, stadium up there in the minor A, because I mean, in Yankee Stadium you get the pass and there are certain places you can go, but over there everything's a little bit more small, a little bit more compact, so I
Right.
could go anywhere and really grab anybody or shoot whatever I wanted. So that was really
There's more like
valuable to me.
freedom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What was I gonna say? What does your day-to-day look like? Your day-to-day duties, like in the office, like as far as like your main tasks, or are your main tasks going out and doing like the field shoots?
So aside from the field shoots, which, you know, will pop up here and there wherever they are, wherever they need me, mainly I would be in the office at Media Square like 2 to 3 times a week, and we would do a bunch of media management every day, and that's just dependent on the schedule.
Okay.
So, you know, for Yankees over the summer, if they had, you know, 2 games on a Monday, Tuesday, be there on Wednesday chopping up and sorting out the highlight packages, be running, you know, tapes on the DVR, pulling stuff from live TV, organizing that. So that's kind of the day-to-day in the office. And then outside, of course, the shoot is the shoot, whenever those happen. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. And I was gonna say too, I think it's really cool that your teacher helped you with this position, and that's so important to like build really good relationships with your professors, because that's how you for like students, for college students watching, high school students, would that be your advice? Like reaching out to professor, building a good rapport, because that's essentially it's always good to have a good relationship, but that's also a good way to get your foot in the door. Would you say?
Yeah, I'd say, definitely if you have a professor that you really like and somebody that inspires you, or even just any professor in general, keep a good relationship with them. Stay in contact a little bit, and as long as you do good work and you show them that you really care and you value what you're doing,
you'll be top of mind.
Yeah, you'll be on the mind somehow.
Right. I love that. As a former student athlete, do you have any time management tips for high school, college students watching? And how did you manage your time in college, and how do you manage your time now post-grad?
Being a student athlete is not an easy task. But what I found to be helpful was to learn how to do my work and learn how to manage my business in between my practice schedule. So we would start out the season knowing what times our practice would be. I would schedule my classes around the practice schedule, just to make sure that I have time in between there to, go to class and then get to practice. And then in between all of that, just doing work when I could. So if I had practice at 6 a.m. to 7:30, I'd have a class at 9. I'm getting breakfast, I'd go to the class, maybe I have like a 2-hour break. I'm starting up that homework straight out of that class. And then I go back in the afternoon for the next practice and then repeat with the cycle as much as that went on. So I think that's important. And if you're in high school, you're in class all day and then you usually have practice in the afternoon. Get home and get on the work as soon as you can. I know the feeling of taking the shower and just passing out, but you gotta be able to, get through the day, come back home, attack the work, and then pretty much just rest.
Yeah, I remember Mauro and I went to high school together. I remember you used to do your homework like in class. Like you would if we're in English, you're doing your math. Or if like you're in math class, you're doing your English. And I always be like, wow, like that's smart. Like don't wait till you get home, because like you said, you're gonna like crash out, burn out. And then in college, it's nicer because I don't know if every school is like this, but I remember Iona, student athletes get first dibs on when they get to pick their classes. Yeah. So I thought that was really nice. In Hofstra, I think I wasn't an athlete at Hofstra, but I remember it went according to your year. So seniors, and then they get the first dibs, and then work your way down. Mm-hmm. So depending on your college, if you're a student athlete and you get the chance to pick your classes, take advantage of that. If you're like a freshman, then I guess it's kind of tough. But yeah, definitely what Mauro said. Like, you get as athletes, as student athletes, you guys get your schedules. Like, you get it, so you can choose your class schedule around that, and then find time to do homework. Don't wait till last minute. Tutor. Go to study hours, tutoring. And you probably, did you do study sessions with your teammates, or did you like to study like by yourself?
It depended on the type of work I was doing. So if I was in a class with somebody, we would work and study together. And not even just with my teammates, but with a lot of my close friends that I would have those classes with. So I would pair up like that, and if not, I'd just hit the library, get myself a nice spot, study by myself, really. I didn't go to get out help for academics from like a tutor or anything from stuff on campus, which I just fortunately didn't need it, but I definitely needed it for math, but I just needed 3 credits in math.
That's it.
But it's all really great resources on a campus around you. Find out what works for you, who's there to help, because there's a lot of people willing to help. Once you do that, everything else will sort itself out.
Yeah, because like high school, it's like you like I went to extra help. For college, there's like a whole department full of like people that can help you like with tutoring and stuff like that. And then in the athletics department, I remember there was like a room where people studied, where athletes studied.
Yeah, there's an athletic study room.
Yeah, so I think that's awesome. You know, so it's like they want you to do, your coaches, the athletics department, they want you to do well, and you have to do well to keep that scholarship and to keep playing on the team. So that's
Another thing came to mind too. As a student athlete, it is very important to have a good relationship with your professors. Even at a school like Iona, where student athletes are making up like 400 plus people of the population, we do get notes from our academic advisor as to days where we're going to be exempt. You know, like we have
for game days,
game day or whatever it is, travel time, and that's just really about having that good relationship with your professor from the start. So I'd always like to start the semester going up to them and saying, hey, I'm Mauro, I'm a student athlete on the swim team. There are going to be some days where I'm going to be out for some classes. I just want to let you know, and I'll make it work.
You gotta advocate for yourself.
Yeah, exactly, and they'll be fine with it. As long as you get the work done. I get the work done on the road or on the bus or in the hotel, whatever it is, and
come back and
And
then now, as you're entering your career, you intern, you are a coach. How do you manage your time now, post grad?
So managing my time now is different every single day because there's kind of a different schedule every day. As I mentioned previously before, I haven't been going to my internship as much just with the busyness of the full-time coaching position, but I can give you both ways of how that kind of worked. So in the summer, I would get up for the practice, and then I'd go to the internship a couple hours, and then I'd come back to the campus for like another practice, and then after that it would just be
like sometimes it was 2-a-days.
Basically it was like 2-a-days,
and then internship in between.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a little difficult, to say the least. But nowadays, since I'm not that busy, it's going in for the practice, coming back home, and I do stuff outside of work. I do jiu-jitsu and MMA, which is a really good outlet for me.
Nice, I didn't know that. That's cool.
To kind of just, relax. I know it doesn't sound relaxing, but
but that's like your outlet.
Yeah. Okay. So I do that, and that kind of just gives me a good physical feeling, good for my mind. And when you get home, when I get home at the end of the night, it's kind of, I really like to light a candle and just journal or read or throw on something relaxing or talk to people that are relaxing, and my priority people in my life that know who they are.
Right, family, friends.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all about having a good support system and kind of outlets as to what you do to relax. So those are just a few of my ways that I find time to do.
And do you feel like you have enough days off? With such a busy schedule, do you feel like you have enough days off during the week?
Well, I mean, as a coach, really, I only have a Sunday off. Or, a couple, like, Saturday afternoon we'll get out early, but it's all just depending on points of the season. I never feel like I'm too burned out, though.
Okay.
Because I enjoy what I do, and that's what if you enjoy, it doesn't feel like work, it doesn't feel like a job. It's just kind of, I go in, I coach, and I always remind myself, like, it's just coaching. You're not the president of the United States. It's okay.
Right.
I'm here to help people and, have a good time and have some fun. And when I get to rest, I get to rest. But I really enjoy helping and, giving the best to them.
That's what it's all about. And it's the same environment you're used to that you've been doing for the past 15 years now?
I swam, like 13, 14 years, something like that.
So it's the same environment, just, different perspective. went from player to coach. So.
Yeah, and I mean, even in terms of Iona, I was talking with one of my friends who I graduated with as kind of a joke. He's like, yeah, how's the schedule going? I'm like, year 6 of the same thing. It's not a bad schedule, but I'm used to it. So
Right.
It works.
So you kind of mentioned it already. What do you do in your free time to incorporate work-life balance and self-care? So MMA, jiu-jitsu,
reading, writing, journaling, throwing on something relaxing, whether that be music or a show or a movie that I really enjoy.
Okay.
Just talking to my people that, we have a great support system, or even if we just talk and just have fun or like play games, whatever it is, those are all things that are relaxing to me.
So a recent study from the American Psychological Association by a doctoral candidate from George Washington University, Coco Nishi, found that Asian Americans are 3 times less likely to seek mental health services than whites. According to Psychology Today, men account for over 75% of suicides, and the rate of male suicide has risen in recent decades. It is really unfortunate that society has taught us guys to hide our emotions, and a person's cultural background plays a part in this as well. You are Japanese on your father's side and Dominican on your mother's side. How do you discuss mental health with your friends and family? And I'll do that one question first. How do you discuss mental health with your friends and family?
So in terms of my friends, I have a lot of really good, open people that I've always been emotionally vulnerable with, which helps. And I have 2 really good friends, in the mental health field wanting to be therapists. So they're really good advocates. One's doing a master's, one's doing a PhD.
Wow.
So I've been lucky enough to have been surrounded by a lot of people and a lot of love, and promoting mental health and advocacy. Even my, parents promote mental health and advocacy. It's not what they had when they grew up, but it's really, really nice to have that type of support from everybody. So I think it's huge.
It's important. I think as people of color, sometimes it's very I feel like our generation is different. We're more outspoken about it. Self-care, mental health. These are words that like we knew. Like I feel like from a very early age, I would say. Whereas like our parents' generation, like that wasn't the case. Especially I feel like men of color too, because we're taught, like man up. It's not that serious. Like toughen up. Don't cry unless you have to, or don't cry unless someone dies. And I think it's important that we don't engage with that, because sometimes that can develop into toxic masculinity, and it may trickle into other areas in our life. So we grew up as men, we grew up a certain way, so we may not know how to talk about our emotions, which can have a negative effect on our future kids, romantic relationships, our friends. Why are you upset? It's like, leave me alone. It's like, no, tell me why you're upset. So I think it's important to, that starts at home. I think it starts at home. And then at a certain age, it's kind of like, okay, I can't, if you do have parents that don't speak about mental health, it's okay. At a certain point, you can't blame them for what you lack. You have to develop that in yourself. So, okay, who am I surrounding myself with? Okay, I'm going to take that first step and go to therapy. And I think also too, juggling mental health conversation with religion. Because I think also oftentimes that person's crazy. It's like, no, grandma, that person's depressed. They need, or it's like, oh, just pray. And it's like, well, prayer, yes, faith is important. Prayer is important. That's great. But let's also, yes, I have the Bible and I have scriptures that I can go to, and I have my relationship with God, but let me go to an outside person and vent. That's not my friend. Because you also don't want to trauma dump. You don't want to dump on somebody. Go seek a professional that you can speak to, and also go to church and have prayer. So how has that been? I know your faith is very important to you. How's that been, juggling faith but then also mental health?
It's been pretty, I won't say easy, but it's not like extremely difficult for me. I honestly see it as, kind of a circle. If I have good, mental health, then I still have good faith. And if I have good faith, I still have good mental health. And that's just because of the support systems. To me, it's, I put myself around people of, different opinions and different religions, different races, different backgrounds, whatever it may be. And it allows me to have that exposure, which is great. And, we all share that want and support for mental health. So that all just reaffirms to me, like, in the way of looking at my faith, this is what I want. And then I just kind of underlie it all together.
Right. Not... Because I think back in the days, I think mental health conversation, I think that was demonized in a sense. Like, seeking therapy, like, that was... Maybe not demonized is the word. It was very frowned upon to seek help in terms of people of color. Like, oh, that's for white people. It's like, no, that's for everyone. Like, the same way how we check, if our heart or our lungs or whatever, we go to a doctor for that, we should be able to go to a doctor for how we feel emotionally and mentally. Mm-hmm. What was I going to ask you? The suicide rate, it's really sad to see, like, the statistics go up as far as, like, people of color, but also as men. For you growing up, did you have to fight back against the toxic masculinity that sometimes can be thrown upon us? Was it ever difficult for you to open up to your male friends or male family members?
I think the people that it was difficult for me to open up to, and I'm taking, like, my family out of the equation, like fathers, brothers, that's just kind of hard, because it's like these people have seen you at such a good point. Why?
Yeah.
So that's like, that's just hard and difficult for a person to get through on their own, I believe. But in terms of, like, opening up to other people and stuff like that, I just didn't feel comfortable doing it with people that I could recognize, like, were not in that same headspace as me, which is why I did not. So in a way, that's kind of protecting myself while respecting them. I'm like, I know you can't handle it, so I'm not going to put that on you, because then I don't want to hear something that I don't want to hear, and then we're just going to have a fight for no reason. So. Right.
So you mostly opened up to family, like if you were going through something?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think in college was when I mostly opened up with those, people that I found my people, like, in college, most of them.
Okay.
That, those were the ones that I'm really comfortable with opening up. And as far as, like, high school, I probably had, 4 or 5 people.
Okay.
That I was comfortable with opening up that too. And just in terms of family, it's like, they could tell I was upset. Why are you upset? Here's why I'm upset. But it would take a little bit, it's not like I'm jumping on it, but, I'd walk in and say, hey, I've been feeling this or feeling that. So
right.
It's kind of just more like a time thing to me.
Yeah, maybe age too.
Yeah.
Finding your people, and I think that's a good point. Like, who's mature enough to handle it? Who's mature enough to handle what I have to say about this thing that I'm going through? And that's a good point, because you can't. It's kind of like I saw on TikTok, like you have to put your friends in categories. Like, okay, this is a friend that I'm gonna party with. This is a friend that I'm gonna travel with. This is a friend that I'm gonna open up with and, like, be personal with. And not everyone, you can't open up to everybody, because not everyone deserves that, and not everyone can handle that. So I think that's a good point. I think that's a really good point. How do you think we can help men to open up emotionally? Maybe you answered it, but how do you think we can help men to open up emotionally so we can lower these heartbreaking statistics? Do you think us as enough guys, like, maybe taking yourself out of the equation, do you think guys are scared to seek therapy? Or do you think it's like, oh, my friends aren't going, so why am I going to go?
I think that I think that for most men, and I won't even say most men, I'll say, I think that for men, however most or however little, it's kind of like, I like what you said about maybe they don't have somebody that is a real advocate speaker for that, or they don't know anybody that is, taking care of their mental health in a way that they're familiar with. So perhaps that's some reason why, they refuse care in a way. It's good now that, we have 988 and, shortened from 1-800, of course, the really long suicide hotline. So that's a little bit easier to communicate with. And I think it's also some people just might be afraid in a way to open up to a stranger. I think that if we keep talking about mental health and we keep advocating for it, and as long as we promote that it is okay for everybody and for men to have that kind of care, because you're still a man either way. I think if that can happen, then a lot more people will seek the care that they need as it continues to get normalized, and that's just going to take time on its own.
Because I do think it is getting better, but I do think that there is work to do. And I think my advice, I think what you said is good. I think find somebody in your life that you can talk to, like friend, family member, but then also go seek therapy and find someone outside of your life that can give you a more well-rounded perspective. Because sometimes if it's like your best friend, they I don't want to say they'll only say good things, but like they only know one side. Whereas if you go to an outside person, they can get a fuller perspective, and it's more fair, I think. So I think go to therapy, find someone in your life that you can talk to, categorize it sounds a little weird, but like categorize your friends, try to, okay, this is my purpose. This is our friendship, and this is what this consists of. I'm going to be personal with this friend. This friend, I'm just going to go out to eat with and party with. This friend, it's for this reason. So categorize your friendships, because you don't always want to vent all the time to every time. You don't always want to fall into the trap of like venting, and then you're venting the whole conversation, and then the other person doesn't get to talk about and then vent themselves. Sometimes that happens too. So I think find therapy, normalize it, talk to your family, and be the change that you want to see, so that by the time you have children, it keeps getting better. Because I feel like our generation is doing a good job, but there's definitely work to do, because I think sometimes, it's like, I think teenagers and like young adults, I think we're juggling with social media, comparison. Do you think social media plays a part too? Like, absolutely. Comparing your life to someone else's life, but it's not really their life, it's a highlight reel? Yeah. And I mean, if I have social media, I mean, who doesn't have social media? And social media can be a great tool and a great asset and a great way to promote your life and share what's going on with it. But I think social media is also absolutely horrible in terms of, idolizing people for likes and followers and popularity, or this person has this person doesn't have that. And I think you just can get sucked down that loop and that rabbit hole. And even on like an Instagram feed or a TikTok feed or YouTube shorts, there's going to be relatable content on there. But then your algorithm is just getting out of whack, and all you're getting is like super sad things, and that doesn't make you feel any better either. So right. I limit my minutes on social media, and I just put the phone down. So I think that has been really helpful for me, and I think people don't need to be obsessed about media as they do. And finally, if you don't mind sharing, what are some of your career goals? And do you see yourself continuing swim coaching and pursuing a career in sports, entertainment, television? So I'm going to keep it with coaching for right now in terms of career goals. Okay. I know that coaching is something I want to do as long as I'm relatively young, because there's a lot of walking and swimming. There's a lot of yelling.
And I don't know, while I'm young, I like to be relatable to younger people and stay in that environment. Definitely, goals for this year are improving on the results that we had last year.
Okay.
For both our men's and women's teams, we got a lot of new faces.
Want to keep getting better.
A really good season so far. With definite improvement can be done. We're not perfect by any means, and nor are we satisfied with where we are. So I think just improving on that and seeing what we get at the MAC championship will be exciting. We got 42 days until that happens.
Nice. Nice. Rooting for you guys.
Thank you. So I'm committed to that. Committed to them. And yeah, I just a career goal that's not based around as like results or stuff as a coach. On the other side of it, I want to just continue to be inspiring or helpful in some capacity. Even if I impact everybody, that's great. If I impact 5 people, 1 person, 2 people, like that's more than okay with me.
All it takes is 1 person.
Yeah, so I want to be a good outlet and a good mentor and resource. I think that's a career goal for me outside of, the result-based aspect of coaching in sports.
Okay. And then as far as like entertainment, sports, production, do you see yourself like being a director, producer, and do you want to do like how do I say it? Like Sports Center? Or do you want to do like documentaries like The Last Dance and doing stuff like that? I'm
definitely more of a documentary guy than like a live kind of TV guy.
Okay.
I had a really good professor, Emily Deutsch. She was at ABC for 17 years, and then she does CBS Sports now for another 17 years.
That's awesome.
And, she's got really good documentaries and a whole lot of Emmys.
Wow, okay.
I don't think she wants me to flex that. She's a really good professor and a really good person, and helped me realize, kind of that intimate setting with documentaries and kind of shooting and, one-on-one interviews with people. I really like that aspect.
It's like a different connection as opposed to like when it's on TV and it's like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Like I like live, and I know live is supposed to be like bang, 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 get your attention, stay in it. But I really like the pace and the flow of a story about a person and, where they're coming from or where they've been or how they're getting to that next point.
And the documentary you did, I forgot the girl's name, but that was really good.
Yeah, that was on my friend Emily Escobedo.
Emily Escobedo. Yeah, that was a really good. I was like, when I saw your documentary, I was like, yeah, I think he's gonna like. I could see him doing this like long term, like that long form.
Thank you.
Long form journalism, like long form features. I could see you doing that. That's awesome. And then would you? What aspect do you think you would do? Would you do like just sports, or do you think you just a variety of stuff?
I won't limit myself, honestly. I think I really would enjoy sports.
Yeah.
And that's just because I like the storyline of sports too. But that's not to say that, I'm not captivated by other stories or other things like
pop
that.
Culture, maybe.
Yeah, like I'm a big nature documentary kind of guy.
Okay.
So I mean, whatever grasps me at a point in time, like if I have a chance to work on it and I like it and I think I can do it justice, then I'll do it.
It's like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? All right, so time for some TCP rapid fire questions.
TCP, what's TCP?
The Cervantes podcast.
TCP rapid fire.
So you don't have to answer them quickly. I just call them that. But the first question: what makes you laugh the most?
I want to answer them quickly though. What makes me laugh the most? Probably my friends.
Friends, okay. What would you tell your younger self?
Never give up. Keep going.
Like that. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Age 28.
That's an honest answer.
On the East Coast, doing.
And finally, what would you name this current chapter of your life?
I would name it Living Through Love and Not Hate.
Okay. I like that. That's a good one. Thank you, bro, for coming on the podcast. So I really appreciate it.
I appreciate that.
Any last words to the people?
Keep watching the TCP. Because I know it's the Cervantes podcast, but I didn't know the acronym. Cervantes has been a really great friend ever since high school, and I've always admired what he's doing. Considering I have some interest in his field as well, and he's a really great host. It's my second show.
Second episode, yeah.
And, if you guys keep tuning in. Whether you Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Anywhere you listen to podcasts. Yeah, check them out.
Awesome. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And shout out to Jordan behind the camera.
Jordan, J Stu. And I want to hear from you guys. So if you're listening to this episode on a podcast platform, be sure to leave a rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, don't forget to click the notification bell up top so you're notified whenever I upload a new episode. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching.